everyone. Welcome to Charmed Life. I am your host, Tricia Carr. This is my podcast. You can find us on YouTube as well as any podcast outlet, however you get your audio podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, and the like. And this episode is really exciting for me because my dear friend Hilary Jackendoff is on, and I am interviewing her, and she brings through so much wisdom, and her energy is so beautiful, warm, transcending, as is her work. Hilary is a Yoga Nidra teacher and a meditation teacher. Well, Yoga Nidra is a type of meditation that she's going to tell us all about on this episode. We talk about, oh my gosh, transcendence, mindfulness, meditation, how to have clarity during these difficult times of the pandemic, and about living a little more au naturel. We also talk about Hilary's practice of working with the Hindu pantheon of gods and goddesses. Hilary is trained in the North Indian lineage of the Bihar School of Yoga. And like I said, she's a really great friend of mine. And it really kind of just gets all cozy to me. And we just are chatting a bunch, but really in that way where Hilary's just her knowledge and her wisdom is coming through, and that beautiful gratitude energy that she talks about. So I hope you enjoy the interview. And before, just another announcement before we start the interview. And that is about my Mystic Arts Academy. It's a really good time to join. We do 2 workshops per month. They happen on Sundays in the afternoon, and almost every week, it's about 3, sometimes it's 4 times per month, we meet for a live group meditation or hypno journey guided by myself. And by the way, if you're new to the podcast, this is all about magic, manifestation, spirituality, metaphysics, mysticism. I'm a multidimensional medium, animal telepath, clinical hypnotherapist, and a spiritual teacher. And so that's what the Mystic Arts Academy is offering. And you can either drop in for a class, one of those workshops, or you can join the platform, the subscription, like the membership, and it's just $22 a month. And that rate is just about to go up, which is why I say it's a good time to join. In addition, there are bonus classes coming up. Self-Hypnosis for Health and Happiness. That's going to be a series of classes that I am creating, and I'm going to be offering it live so that folks can have Q&A time with me about it. And then later it'll be available on demand on my website at triciacarcharm.com. And so those will be included in your membership if you are a member of the Mystic Arts Academy. And otherwise, you can also click down in the description here of this episode to see how you can do a drop-in on one of the Self-Hypnosis for Health and Happiness or any of my other Mystic Arts Academy classes. And in addition to that, you can find all of Hilary's information. So without further delay, may I present to you the wonderful, luminous meditation teacher and teacher trainer and expert in Yoga Nidra, Hilary Jackendoff. Well, here I am with Hilary Jackendoff, and this is probably going to be a little bit of a silly episode because Hilary and I are friends. If you guys have heard an episode with David Gandelman and me, it's going to be similar. I was also on David and Cody's podcast, Grounded Mind, and Energy Matters. That's the name of David's business. And we were just cracking wise the whole time. So I was like, was that okay? So I think we're going to there's be some wise cracking happening. I don't know how to not do it.
It'll happen. Yeah.
So why don't we start with you sharing with everyone your journey? I mean, I know a little bit about the journey being in the honeysuckle bushes. You were telling me. And also the work that you're doing. So let everyone get to know. And by the way, yes, her name is Jackendoff, and she's married, and she insisted on keeping Jackendoff. That's not her married name. And I love that. That's one of the things she loves to tell people right up front.
It's true. Well, I just found out the other day, I'll get into the honeysuckle bushes and everything shortly. But I just found out the other day, my husband has the new version of Microsoft Word on his computer. And he was typing in my name on a Word doc, and it auto-corrected my last name. It auto-corrected Jackendoff to Jackendoffian. And he was like, what is going on? Why is Microsoft Word correcting your last name? Why is it recognizing Jackendoffian? And it turns out that's a real word recognized of or pertaining to the linguistic theories of Ray Jackendoff, who was my uncle.
No way.
Oh my God, Jackendoffian is a word.
Just when you thought Jackendoff couldn't get cooler.
It got cooler. So, you know, it's a hilarious name.
It's amazing. And it's in the lexicon of
the lexicon.
Microsoft Word.
Yeah, of linguistical scholars.
Very cool.
Very cool. Yeah, so, okay, so where do I start? So I was raised without a TV in a kind of multi-faith household, Jewish and Catholic. So I had a lot of unscheduled free time, a lot of downtime, no TV watching happened. And I kind of had to find my own way spiritually at a pretty young age as a result of kind of not really having a clear footing, having nothing really to hold on to definitively, like with Catholic beliefs and going to Catholic school, but also Jewish beliefs and celebrating Jewish holidays. So I kind of found my own way and spent a lot of time in nature, spent a lot of time kind of like worshiping the earth, so to speak.
Yes.
Which I still do. And then it kind of led me, I ended up as a philosophy major in college, kind of studying more Eastern philosophies and the philosophy of mysticism. Yeah.
That makes me hum.
Yes, it makes me hum too. And that's what I do now. Like I ended up using my philosophy degree and not having to go to law school, which was my original plan. I don't know how I thought that was going to happen, but
that was the Jewish side.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love a little money, right? Law school. But also I would have gone hundreds of thousands of dollars into debt to.
I know, right?
So yeah, I ended up after college spending some time traveling. Kind of stumbled into yoga and meditation when I was 21, and was going to different Buddhist centers in Philadelphia and exploring meditation. And then I ended up finding true yoga, so to speak, like as opposed to kind of just physical yoga, just postural yoga, Vinyasa flow classes in New Zealand. And I ended up at an ashram there, a yoga ashram, and then that led me the following year to India, where I took kind of like formal initiation into a traditional yogic lineage and like took a guru and all that. And then I went and lived for 2 years at an ashram in Australia. Wow. Where I lived kind of like as not really a renunciate, but like a renunciate in training. While I did my formal training in yoga and meditation.
Tell us what exact renunciate is, because I don't know that much about the mechanics of Eastern religions, or I mean, maybe it's not religion or Eastern spiritual practices. I know what the word to renunciate means. And I know it through the Christian church. You don't want to renounce Christ. That's one thing you don't want.
Yeah, well, the yogic tradition.
To renounce, sorry, there's a fly in here. Is it to renounce materialism, basically? Oh, look, not just a hat rat.
Indeed not. So the renunciate tradition is kind of a big part of traditional yogic culture and traditional yogic teachings. And even if it's not an outward renunciation, whereby you fully let go of the material world and you move to an ashram and you spend out your days in service, in meditation, in devotion, etc. Even if you don't do that, you can live in the world with an inner renunciation. And that's what I've ended up doing, basically. But for a long time, I thought that I was going to, for a long time, I was in a lot of conflict, wanting to fully renounce, but feeling that I was being pulled by the world. And that was really frustrating and really confusing for a while. But then I moved to LA and,
began announcing.
I began announcing.
I'm here, ladies.
Here I am, Hilary Jackendoff. Yeah, it was, the time spent at the ashram was really, really valuable for a number of reasons. And I would not be able to do what I do had I not spent that time. Like I wouldn't, I'm not saying that everyone needs to go and live in an ashram in order to teach meditation. That is,
of course, yeah.
false. But I wouldn't be able to do it. So
it's very interesting in a lot of the Catholic faith too. There's a lot of vows of poverty, especially for the clergy. So that's kind of running through some of your ancestry, and at least that way. Not as much with Judaism though, right? There's not really much mention of poverty or prosperity. No.
No. It's kind of like, the Jews just kind of get on with it, and they have their individual relationship to the divine, and
a lot of my influence is actually Hebrew mysticism. You know, I talk about using metaphysics as like a philosophical lens, and then mysticism as the artistic lens or the art. And a lot of the mysticism that is in my practice is actually ancient Hebrew mysticism. But then there is some, you know, a little bit of Eastern mysticism too, but it's mostly Hebrew, which could be because in this, you know, life, I began as a Judeo-Christian. You know, that was kind of my initial embarking into my spirituality. Although I will say that the things as a mystic that I embrace was not a part of the boring church that I went to, or even the charismatic churches that I went to in Christianity, but really interesting. And so far as mysticism is concerned, what is your use of it now? What is juice it up.
What is my use of mysticism now?
Practice, maybe, yeah.
So I will say that I have, you know, I was very much one of those people, and our friendship is relatively new, but also profoundly special and deep. You know, I was one of those people that kind of didn't understand the different ways of being connected to the psychic energy. And I have kind of realized that I do get serious downloads, and that's how it shows up for me in terms of like that direct line of communication. I do have quite a bit of access to that. But I also, you know, in my teaching, I'm a horrible, like, meditation for beginners teacher. I'm a horrible, I shouldn't be saying this, but whatever. I'm not the best, like, let's stay here and now kind of teacher. Like, I'm not a great mindfulness teacher. I can do it. I do it for certain clients depending on their needs. Because I know that it's a stepping stone.
It's a stepping stone. I'm the same way. Like, I can't imagine doing a 20-minute mindfulness. That's like, it's like foreplay to me. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. And now we're supposed to kiss for an hour and then roll over. Like, that doesn't make sense. And what are we in junior high? No, come on.
Let's go to the good stuff.
Let's get to it. Got to start tripping. Yeah, mindfulness is an integral and imperative gate through which we cross in order to be able to access the subconscious mind or the imaginal realm or the spiritual realm or whatever you call it. It's all the same. Absolutely.
Exactly. But that's how it shows up for me too. It's a stepping stone. It's the foundation that you have to lay. I don't know if I like the foundation that you have to lay metaphor, because then you build the house, but really I think you dig down under the house.
Yes. Right.
So
let me pause and say, we aren't bagging on mindfulness meditators. We're just talking about our own weird experiences and orientation to it. Yeah. So 100%
is hugely important, and it's a way of life. It's a foundation of learning how to be in the world.
Yeah.
It's absolutely necessary. If you seek to evolve your consciousness beyond your body, you have to know what it feels like to be in your body.
Right.
First.
Right.
You know, it's so my work, one of my students kind of called me out at one point, in like a kind of fun way. He drew the distinction between how he felt practicing meditation with me versus how he felt practicing with another teacher who was more mindfulness based, more kind of art practices based. And he said that every time I practice with you, it's all void vibes. And I was like, yeah.
Void vibes?
Void vibes. Like,
wow.
Dissolving into source, dissolving into pure awareness, and resting in that space. Because that's what, you know, that's what grants you access to the ability to truly relieve your suffering.
Yes.
You know, when your illusion of separateness starts to dissolve. And for me, like, I kind of sneak it in there sometimes for people, like with Yoga Nidra, for example. Yoga Nidra, on the surface, if you just listen to what I said during a practice, if you just like transcribed it, you'd be like, that was boring and kind of lame.
If you just read it, totally, yeah.
Yeah, you just read it and you were just like, and then she just names all the parts of the body, and then she just says a bunch of other stuff. But what it does is it grants you access to that space in a really, really profound way without any experience necessary. And so I was saying to my husband the other day, like, we were talking about my work because I offer this to people in corporations. And I kind of pitch it to the corporate folk as kind of just like a deep relaxation meditation, which is how I pitch it to a lot of people. And, you know, it's going to feel like maybe you took a little power nap. If you fall asleep, no problem. But it's like, you know how like when you're trying to get a little kid to eat their vegetables, like you figure out creative ways to like work in the veggies, like you like puree cauliflower and stir it into mac and cheese or whatever. That's what I'm kind of doing, is I'm like pureeing the cauliflower, like the spiritual goods, and stirring it into their like tasty mac and cheese, and granting them access to a much more profound experience than they thought they were getting.
Yeah. Tell us exactly what, like, how do you describe Yoga Nidra for someone who's never heard of it?
Oh, well, it's a beginner-friendly deep relaxation meditation.
It's cauliflower and mac and cheese. I just said it.
Yeah, no, it's a really powerful practice that has a number of benefits for a really wide audience. Like it's beginner friendly. If in the very worst case scenario, you just stay very surface level, very conscious mind active, you know, like, I don't know, high alpha brainwaves and just like relaxed, but really engaged and following along, it'll serve as like a mindfulness meditation. You know, you'll build gray matter by staying focused on the instructions, right? But then it starts to evolve, and it might evolve the very first time you practice and you're like, so it has like really incredible benefits for sleep. A lot of people think of it as a sleep meditation, and I am a lifelong insomniac, and I am very comfortable using it, encouraging people to use it as a tool for sleep, if that's where they are. It's so much more than a sleep meditation. That is one of my favorite teachers in her book. It's teacher Kamini Desai of another lineage of yoga, the Amrit lineage, said that using Yoga Nidra as a nap is like using a jet plane to drive to the grocery store. You can do it, but that's not what it's for.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's like, you know, if your pain point is sleep, you need to address that first.
Yeah,
You're not going to evolve your consciousness. You're not going to heal your trauma. You're not going to do anything until you are rested.
Oh, yes. Sleep is, we need dreaming even more than we need sleep, but that's kind of something that's happening in meditation practices anyway. The imagery that we're experiencing is akin to dreaming while we're sleeping, utilizing that tool. And so in Yoga Nidra, is there guided imagery, or does it happen just naturally? So yeah, tell me about it.
So there's guided imagery. So I'll just kind of quickly run down kind of its like remainder of benefits, because otherwise I'll forget. Okay. So in addition to like the deep relaxation, gray matter building kind of mindfulness based benefits, we got the sleep benefits. We've got a practice benefits associated with intentional self-transformation. So there's kind of like this, similar as in hypnotherapy, there's this receptivity.
Sounds very similar. A lot of these benefits sound exactly like hypnotherapy, but yeah, go ahead.
There's a lot of similarities. So there's this receptivity that happens, and when combined with self-inquiry, you can really be very intentional as to how you work with the practice. That being said, even if you're not intentional, things will drop away. Different behavior patterns, belief systems, they will drop away if you continue to work with the practice. And then there's, benefits associated with healing trauma, cultivating a feeling of safety in the body, working on that level. It's used for veterans with PTSD pretty frequently. And it's also a practice of enlightenment. Casual.
In there. Just casual.
So yeah, can we curse on these? Do we curse on these?
We can, yes.
Well, it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to come. We haven't been doing them lately, but you could come on my other podcast. You'll have a lot of fun. It's Enlightened AF. So there's a lot of cursing on that one.
So I'll just curb my enthusiasm and save it for that one. But yeah, so the guided imagery is intended to really work with the subconscious to kind of like mine the subconscious almost, stirring the pot almost.
Exactly, like hypnotherapy. Yeah.
So working with archetypal imagery, working with potentially specific imagery, depending on, if you're working one-on-one with people. And being in that witness consciousness, right? Realizing that you are the awareness through which all of the experiences pass, and not identifying with the experiences. So, a lot of times when we are in that really receptive space, and the mind is really open, and the subconscious is really being kind of drawn to the forefront, things can come up that, aren't always pleasant or aren't expected. So being established in that attitude of like, no, I'm just watching. I'm just watching whatever unfolds, and it's all good. It's all for my ultimate kind of healing and higher growth. Yeah.
And that's so what we need right now. I mean, it's what we always need, but that is with just think about, well, the collective consciousness being collectively hypnotized by, media or whatever the collective unconsciousness, even, being socially conditioned, and just feeling disempowered, it shows up in politics, it shows up in society, and feeling that you are your thoughts, or you are your emotions. And that's a prison, man. If you don't know that they are a property of you, and that you are that awareness, and that they are there as information, that's why that is really, I think that was what was in the briefcase in Pulp Fiction. It was supposed to be like the the key to life, or whatever, the truth of life. It was just like, you are the awareness. I think that's what it is. That's absolute freedom. That is connection, like you say, dissolving to source. That is connection to the universe. That is purpose. It's the all.
It's like, who are we after we die?
This.
This. Yeah. Everything, nothing.
Yeah. Still just observing this.
Josh and I have been listening to, we discovered with great delight that, even though we can't go to the library and check out books right now, we can get audiobooks on on our phones through our library account. So we started listening to, do you know Pete Holmes, the comedian?
Yes. Oh, he's so good. Yeah.
It's amazing. We've seen him do stand-up so many times, and every time is fantastic. Pete, if you're listening, you're probably not, but you never know. You're a mystic. You're the best, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Pete, we love you.
Big fan.
How dare you? How dare you insinuate there's any person not listening to my podcast, Hilary Jackendoff?
Oh my God. Sorry. So his book, Comedy, Sex, God, everyone needs to hear that book. Like, I will be an evangelist for that book. It is so good. And he describes, you know, he was a huge Christian, you know.
Yes, I do remember
raised that. Evangelical, ended up kind of like turning fully away from all of that, and then turning towards more kind of like spiritual teachings, and ended up becoming like a student of Ram Dass and getting really, really into those Eastern mystical teachings that Ram Dass shares. And Pete was describing, we were just listening to this yesterday, so blessedly the metaphor is fresh. He was describing like the kind of, you know, when you're watching an episode of your favorite show, you know, you're watching the series finale of Breaking Bad, I think was the example he used. And you're just like, you know, you're so engaged, you're so emotionally invested, you're just like gritting your teeth, whole body is tense, you are just immersed in it. But also, you know that you are on the couch watching it. And like stepping into that quality of awareness is what we're trying to do, you know? So like he described like, and I think he's likely, I'm pretty sure he was describing Ram Dass's teaching. So I'm just like, you know, whisper down the lane, but it's a good lane and it's a good whisper. So, but he was talking about seeing the things that are happening to you in your life as episodes of TV shows. So it's like, oh, this is the episode where his girlfriend breaks up with him, and like, wow, this is really going to push his growth, the growth of his character forward, and really force him to face his fears and step out of his comfort zone into a new, you know, and looking at life like that, like, wow, what an interesting episode I'm in right now of my Hilary consciousness.
Yeah.
What an interesting episode we're all in right now. What is going to happen next? What are we going to learn? What are we going to let go of? What are we going to be pushed towards or pulled away from?
I swear I do that. But it's been more like, I actually had a dream toward the beginning of the pandemic. If you guys are listening at another time, well, I don't have to identify. If you're listening to this 5 years from now, you know exactly which pandemic, because there's only the one.
Oh, but also we can't control anything, and who knows?
So 2020, this is happening in 2020. Okay. And at the beginning of it, I had a dream, and it was astral dream. So I was going in, I was like, some of it was a regular, more typical dream, but a lot of it was astral. I was astral traveling. And so there was this moment in the dream where it was like, there was a chaos at it. I'll just tell you, there's a chaos at like a junior high school, and the president, or not the president, but Freudian slip there, the principal and the teachers were like all like not being responsible. So they were like, we don't know what to do. And they were like freaking out. And so a bunch of just volunteers like me and some other people were like, okay, we have to take over here because they don't know what they're doing. We have to get the kids safe and all that kind of stuff. And then there was this moment. So that's, you know what I mean? Like you can see what the symbolism is there. And then there was this moment where there was this big soot monster, and I was like, it had landed on me, and I was like, it didn't know I was beneath it. And it was like sitting on top of me, and it was like, because I was like buried under some stuff. And I was like, well, is it going to do anything? Like, is it threatening? Is it dangerous? And it was just like sitting on me. And I was like, should I telepathically communicate with it? That's not a good idea, because if it's dangerous, it'll know I'm here then. You know what I mean? And then I said how I started to come out of it. I was like, if it's not dangerous, why would they put it in this movie? And it was like my life, like, you know what I mean? Like I was like, my life is a movie. If this isn't something, and it's me kind of orienting to that awareness. And I think it's interesting to think about this pandemic that way. Wait, if it's not really threatening, at least in an existential way, being beyond this, you know, having a job or something, then why is it in this? Why did they put it in this movie? Well, maybe it's for an interesting reason, right?
Yeah,
What if Pete's girlfriend broke up with him, you know? It's true. And the heartbreak is true. And the difficulties are true. And so are the other things. And there's power in that paradox.
Dude, I agree. And I've been so careful during this whole thing, you know, because I am in like the spiritual community.
Mm-hmm.
I don't openly identify as like a spiritual teacher. I'm like a stealth mode spiritual teacher.
That's all you do though.
I know, but like
because you can say you're a meditation teacher, and then you don't have to say I'm a spiritual teacher?
Meditation chick. It's, you know, I'm like a secret stealth mode. I just keep my, like, I don't know, at this particular moment in where I am, I have kind of kept the deeper sides of myself and my practice kind of quiet. But anyway, so as a spiritual teacher here in Los Angeles, I've been really careful not to like spiritualize this.
I know. Well, and we can do both, but we have to always embrace and recognize the what is as well, and have compassion. We always have to start with compassion and recognition, and then zoom out. And actually haven't been talking about it in that way either. Like with my best friend or my husband, it's like, so what do you think this means energetically? And we're talking about a 10,000 year perspective.
Yeah.
When you zoom out to 10,000 years or something like that, then the fact that there was a really shitty year where people, you know, were unemployed.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we're talking about. But I don't often talk about it in public because I don't want to hurt. People are having a hard time, and I don't want to, you know, make that worse. So I hear you.
I mean, I never zoom out 10,000 years, but I love that idea. I love it so much. But I can take that broad-based view and be like, okay, well, you know, what we were doing wasn't working well for a lot of people, and maybe this will create some positivity in the world in some way. But I don't like to, I'm very cautious around even saying that little about it.
Right, because you don't want to sound anything like how Rush Limbaugh said that Hurricane Katrina hit Louisiana, New Orleans, because Ellen DeGeneres is from there and she's gay. You're got to be careful. You might slippery slope there, Hilary Jackendoff.
I'm not going down to the Rush Limbaugh slope.
You're not in that whisper trail. You're definitely not.
That is a bad trail.
It's a bad whisper.
It's such a bad whisper, but you know, it's like, because like, look, white privilege. I don't want to get into that, but my basic needs are met. I have taken a hit. My husband has taken a hit. But we're fine, you know? So like, I feel I can't speak about this in any kind of like broad-based way because of that.
Yeah.
You know? Like, because it's just tone deaf and it's not established in awareness, and it's not, you know, taking into account the enormous amount of suffering. But it is really interesting to take a zoomed out view and start to kind of see what is happening energetically.
Because it can help you to become that awareness. That's, I like to look at all of the angles, and definitely do not want to be a spiritual bypasser either, you know, using spiritual concepts in an inappropriate or irresponsible way, inaccurately even, you know what I mean? Like love and lighting past having any feelings or awareness of the things that are real. It's 100% important to me. But this podcast, like last episode, I did it on my own, And I was like, so what do I do? Like, I also don't want to keep talking. Like, we have enough already. We're 6 months into quarantine. 6 months, 6 weeks. Good Lord.
Soon enough, Tricia.
But so I acknowledged it, but it was like, we really need some inspiration, or I don't know, whatever the community I'm connecting with needs some inspiration. So we did some other things, you know what I mean? We talked about it a little bit. I mentioned it and said, let's talk about manifesting. You know what I mean? Let's get into some of that. Let's just lose ourselves in our power as manifestors. And so it's all important.
Yeah, I've definitely been working with that quality of energy myself, working with different mantras and working with kind of like being really intentional as possible, recognizing the power of this time, just because my personal energy is like settled, grounded, and concentrated, which does make, you know, it has kind of like an amplifying effect on what I am able to connect to right now. Yeah.
And human design, your human design type, I know you're a projector. We talk about it every now and again because, you know, we just started getting into it, and so have you. How many? You have like 3 chakras defined, 3 centers defined. Is that what it is?
2.
You only have 2 defined, yeah.
Heart and spleen.
Yeah, so that gives you that. That's what it sounded like you were talking about a little bit. It gives you a lot of that quality that's similar to a reflector. It's nice to have, huh?
Go on.
That's it. I'm not a teacher. Well, those open centers are doing that, you know. The open centers are asking all the questions, the really open-ended questions, and not needing an answer, just letting it flow through so that it can create wisdom. That's the, you know, higher function of it. The lower function of it is they can be open to conditioning, you know, and fear and all that kind of stuff too, because they don't have any definition. So, you know, it's the greatest source for wisdom. It's also the greatest source for conditioning. Yeah.
Not leaving the house has been really great in avoiding that like absorption element that I have.
Yeah, I know. And I'm to a place where I am well, actually, I actually do so much absorbing. I'm not only still, but actually even busier working with people, students and clients, since we went into quarantine. I don't know if people are having more time or what it is, or just they're paying attention to their needs more. And when I shifted back to online only, remotely only, I was like, oh, I can actually modulate my energy. I have more sustainable energy with the kind of barrier of not being in physical presence. But although I love being in physical presence too, but I realized I was able to shift and say, oh, actually there's a great benefit to how I can serve by having that space. And, but since we've been in quarantine and I'm seeing being less proximity, less physically proximate, being less in people's auras, their actual physical energy, I'm over absorbing with my cats.
Nice though.
But I had my cat's stress dream last night. I had it. He was having a dream. He was just venting some stress because he doesn't like cats, and I have other cats, so he doesn't like cats in general. And so he was venting an encounter that he had of thinking one of my other cats was gonna chase him, and I had that dream. Because he sleeps in my aura.
Wow.
Anyway, that's a little side note there.
I like it a lot. Yeah, I'm feeling the same. Like my energy is steady through the day, and when I have like my little dips and my little kind of like periods of feeling a little bit ungrounded or feeling a little bit like a little overactive mentally, I can modulate it quickly and recenter. And to have the space and the time to do that is like, it's
important, and it's something you need to retain. You know, it's one of those things we need to retain, like cooking. Even though I hate all the dishes, having to wash all the dishes, but cooking all of my meals is so much better for me.
Yeah, I feel amazing. But that is probably just me.
So, so I'm sure folks are wondering how they could get into some Yoga Nidra business.
Oh,
Well, you have a course on Insight Timer. Is that Yoga Nidra centered?
Not Yoga Nidra, it's sleep centered.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 10-day course on different techniques to kind of grant you access to an easier time sleeping, obviously. But it's coming from the perspective of like, similar to the way like traditionally you prepare for meditation. So now like with group drop-in classes, and, you know, we both have taught at group drop-in meditation studios. That notion of just like popping in for a meditation class and popping down on a cushion or into a chair, and then expecting your energy to settle and turn inward quickly, you know, in a 30 to 45 minute class is quite an ask. And traditionally you prepare for that inward journey. You know, you'd prepare by maybe moving your body or grounding in nature. Prepare by maybe chanting some mantras or working with the breath, and then you would settle into stillness and be granted access to those deeper layers of the consciousness. And so Yoga Nidra is this kind of like journey inwards, this very kind of progressive turning inwards, kind of like moving through the layers of the body. So in yoga, it's called the koshas. So moving through the sheaths, these like the physical body, the energy body, the emotional body, the body of intuitive wisdom and beliefs. And then finally you arrive in the bliss body. You arrive in source. And that journey in Yoga Nidra is kind of the journey that we're seeking to take in all meditative practices, right? Like we're seeking to just like gradually move further and further inwards. And I kind of had this idea that like the journey that we take in sleep is the same journey that we're taking in meditation, right? Like we're
absolutely,
we're letting go of the character. We're letting go of, it's definitely not my idea. Shouldn't say it's my idea, but we're letting go of the external world. We're letting go of this identification with the body. We're letting go of this identification with the mind, with our belief system. We're letting it all go. And that's a profound journey inwards that we're taking every single night. And, you know, a lot of people who have difficulty sleeping, there's some value to be kind of, to learn how to prepare for that journey. There's some value in learning how to prepare for that journey of sleep, just as there's value in learning how to prepare for that journey of meditation. Any journey inward is like, what other journey is there, you know, like, and to just kind of be like, okay, it's time for bed. Why can't I sleep? Like, because you didn't honor that process. You didn't honor that, the sacredness of sleep, of rest, and take that time. It's not just like, you know, put your phone in another room. It's like, you know, be intentional around this journey inwards that you're taking, and recognize it for that.
Did it so resonate? Yes. So good. Did it resonate with you when you learned about human design, the type projector, and that the projector needs to go to bed well before they're sleepy?
You know what resonated with that for me? It was partially that, but also sleeping alone.
Really? So do you, or have?
So Josh is a manifester, so he is intended to sleep alone.
A manifester or a manifesting generator?
Manifester.
Okay. Yeah.
And so when my kind of like, shall we say, when I'm energetically like imbalanced, and when I'm moving through like an insomnia cycle, because I still have them, it doesn't matter. My nervous system is wildly sensitive, and You know, I'm not going to say like, I have solved all of my woes with meditation. It still happens.
Right. Of course.
So whenever I'm in kind of like an insomnia cycle and I'm in that kind of like ungrounded space around my sleep, I sleep in another room, and not having my husband in my energetic space allows me to sleep.
I was doing that a lot. This was probably 10 years ago. Yeah, I think so. Brian and I were together, and I was habitually, we had this really huge bedroom. So I actually was sleeping in the same room still, but it was outside of his aura. And I was going, it was like our bedroom was so big, it had a couch in it. And so I was going like all the way to the other side and sleeping on the couch. And so I've done that before, and I haven't, in learning about that, I don't know if I'm addicted to being in his energy a little bit, you know what I mean? Like a little dependent on it. Because I know I get dependent in a way. Pardon?
He's a projector, right?
He's a projector, yeah.
He'd probably love it if you went and slept somewhere else.
Well, at least emotionally, mentally, emotionally, I stopped doing that. I did it for a while, but I stopped doing it because I don't want to say it hurt his feelings. Like, he didn't feel rejected, but he, you know, wanted to be with me. But we don't touch each other in the night. It's mostly because I'm hot. It gets so hot, you know. But what I actually haven't been having stressful dreams in a while. I used to have a lot of stressful dreams. And
for your cats.
No, I'm just doing it. Yeah. Just stealing their stressful dreams. When I would do it, when I would have stressful dreams, it was when I was detoxing. Well, before I detoxed from this sort of addiction I had to anxiety, which again, doesn't mean I'd never have anxiety, but you know, I definitely recognized this past year that I was addicted to anxiety in a way that I thought it made me safe and alive. And I didn't know it. So anyway, before that happened, I would have an anxious dream or encounter, and then I would just like put a foot on him, and it helped me to ground. And that gets, again, because I was too hot, so I couldn't go like snuggle him. So I just put a foot on him, and I put like even my hand on him, and that would help me to ground. So I think maybe that's part of the reason why I haven't wanted to be, although I've noticed other nights where I kind of want to move outside of his aura, because he's cleaning himself. Like, you know, you clean your energy when you're sleeping. And it's different than, you know, I'm going to teach people, as if you identify as an empath or a highly sensitive person, that you are sovereign in your energy and you don't have to absorb or receive someone else's energy. That's actually your job. But when you're sleeping, it's different, because the whole thing is to cleanse and purify and vent and release energies. So it's kind of like two people taking a bath together. It's going to be a sum total of your filth.
Oh, gross. I'm going to only sleep alone. Thanks for that, Tricia.
It's not quite that, because you're not in a container, because the earth is bringing it out. But
right.
Yeah. But I think also what I do is I've been waking up, and I know this is common. This is a common thing. People waking up between 3 and 4 a.m. And I've been in that cycle the last several months. I wake up at 4 a.m. and
How
then
much sleep do you get?
How much sleep do I get? I'm at least 7. I need 9.
Me too.
But sometimes it's only like 7.5, and that's low for me.
Do you ever get up at that time of day?
At 4? Oh no, I'm too tired. I just don't fall asleep right away. What I do actually is I actually hypnotize myself back to sleep. But the way that I do it is I have one TV show that I don't even pay attention to, but it interrupts my energy and it makes me go to sleep. And it's Frasier. And you can imagine, I know.
I do that. Frasier or 30 Rock are my...
30 Rock's too stimulating for me. It's too funny. I mean, Frasier's really funny too, but I
rarely do that. But that if my mind is just like, we're not going to sleep, good luck with that. Frasier or 30 Rock, and yeah. I know all of the episodes. Yeah, and
I actually I put a pillow up so that the light is blocking, so it doesn't stimulate, you know, the rods and cones. It's more just it's the auditory, yeah. And so I know what I'm doing. It's a hypnotic modality. It's a hypnotic technique, and I'll turn it on and the volume's super low. I put the timer on 30 minutes for it to go off, and I don't even know what episode it is. It's like boom. And if I otherwise were to lie there, I'd be awake for 30, 45 an hour easily. And it's just my nervous system. It's not my mind. It's not anxiety. My mind will be blank. It's just my nervous system
it's just
stimulated. Mm-hmm.
Yep, that is the exact same experience that I have with insomnia. It's not racing thoughts. Mm-hmm. It's just energy. It's just trapped energy that is just circulating and just like I vibrate if I'm having trouble sleeping. It's not because things are on my mind. It's so weird.
That's exactly what it's like for me. Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't think maybe it's all of those open centers then. Maybe that's what it is. And that's the time of the night of the sleep cycle. You know, they say that's when the veil is thin between spirit and physical.
So that's what I was going to say. You know, in the yogic tradition, like the most auspicious times for sadhana, for spiritual practice, are during those hours pre-dawn or pre-sunset, dawn and dusk, pre-dawn, pre-dusk. And that's when you get the most out of your practice. That's when, like, you know, if you spend 20 minutes in meditation, it's like majorly, it's not a normal 20 minutes in meditation.
Right.
But I wonder if I'm just going to throw this out there, Tricia. I wonder if your nervous system is waking you up at that time because you have work to do.
Yeah, but I'm actually still too tired. My mind is, like, everything else is still too tired, and it's almost like it hurts, so I need to go back to sleep. But maybe there's something I need to acknowledge, and this has been working really well. And that time, again, that dusk and dawn, that is also when they say the veil is thin, you know, is dusk and dawn. And what that aligns with is how, I'm sure you know this, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, about the hypnagogic and the hypnopompic state, which bookends sleep. And that's you're actually in hypnosis as you're transitioning from awake to unconscious asleep. And you're highly suggestible, you're very open, veil is thin, all of that. So the dusk and dawn times that we're talking about is the hypnagogic and hypnopompic state for the earth or the ecosystem, because obviously it would be different on different sides of the earth. So it's actually the ecosystem experiencing hypnosis. That's cool, right? I actually have never said that before. It just came to me right now. And you know what else is amazing? Is that cats are crepuscular.
What? Words.
Crepuscular means that they are most active in those times. And it's based on the Catholic Crespus, which is when you take Crespus at those times. Wow. And so they're crepuscular. And I mean, there's a biological reason for that, because also so are the prey that they live off of. They're also, because they are trying to eat and hide and all that kind of stuff. So, but it's, maybe some of us have that orientation. Maybe that's what you're saying. Maybe there's work to do. I can't get up and physically do it, but maybe there's some awareness work to do. Is that what you meant, or did you mean physical?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
To be doing the dishes.
Get up, lazy.
No, I meant like maybe there's messages that you need to be receiving at that time, because you know the world might be too noisy otherwise for you to hear them.
Have you ever considered, because this just came up today on my coaching, my sorry, I just banged the microphone like an amateur. My dear friend, the wonderful, the luminous Jeremy Stangness just mentioned today on this coaching session that we did together, because he had a reading about his sleep from one of our students, and she pinpointed exactly how he is most beneficial sleeping in cycles, and like not full 8, but like 4, 4, 4, something like that.
Yeah, well, that's how we originally slept.
Okay, well, said
we're not monophasic sleepers.
Right.
Whatever.
So, when he said that, he was like, because she just channeled that, the student whose name is Stephanie Kleehammer, I should mention her, she's brilliant, and she channeled that, and he was like, that's when I don't have to mind some outside schedule, that's how I sleep. He's like, I used to sleep that way when I was younger or something like that, and I do that every now and again, and that really like lit up for me. Is that something that you resonate with? You tell me a little, because you're more of a sleep expert than me. What do you know about that?
That is how humans, like this, like 8 hours a night thing, like or 7 to 9 really is what we, need. But this notion of getting it all in one go is new. Evolutionarily, we we slept in shifts, you know?
Right, of course.
Years we slept in shifts.
Because we had to watch out. Some of us had to hunt, some of us had to take care of babies. Well, just think about how hard it is for women to feed their babies all night long. Because then when they have, young, because then they're expected to be up for 16 hours.
No, you nap when the baby naps.
Uh-huh.
When the baby is awake, you are awake. When the baby is asleep, you are asleep. Like, it's such a, I've had this conversation with so many of my friends who are moms, so many students, and everybody understands it intuitively because they're like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm so tired, but they don't do it because we're so conditioned to think that that's not enough.
You have to be conventional.
Yeah. And, I could talk hours about like the need for rest and the reconditioning that has to occur.
Yeah.
The productivity culture, I am not a productive person. As many of the people in my life know, I just kind of flex and flow with my energy and my work, and I just take what comes, projector style, with that invitation, and then I'm like, thanks, awesome.
Josh was super bummed with your validation of that through the human design model.
Oh, so bummed. But
he doesn't get it because he's an energy type.
He gets it now.
Like, well, he's observing you and he's like, she's not making that shit up. You know what I mean? Like, that's what, if you have compassion, if you're paying attention. Yeah.
He totally gets it. And he sees what I'm bringing in right now, which I'm actually like working in a very different way. And I'm a much better person. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm, connecting, and I'm still bringing in new revenue streams, which is like, like, in terms of being self-employed, like he's seeing that, okay, she can do this in a different way that I didn't really believe she would be able to.
Like, right. He's a freaking manifester. It doesn't.
Before COVID.
It makes sense to him as he observes you and but for his energy, it doesn't make sense for him. And that's cool. I think that's what's so cool about, just, having, I don't know if compassion or just letting people have their experience and objectively observing it so he can be the awareness rather than somehow projecting, not in the way that a projector projects, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, but the reclamation of rest is so important for people to understand that that's a thing. Like, we have been so conditioned to believe that more is more, and that, in order to be productive, you need to do more things, and you need to do them faster, and you need to do them better. And this is how you create a life for yourself. And this is what, your life narrative needs to be. And that's just false. It's just one narrative. And
that's not how an ecosystem works. The oak tree doesn't perform exactly the same way as the agave plant. It's just not.
So good. So true. It's so true.
So true. Yeah.
And like, I believe, like, women, I will say, I believe that women, maybe I believe this, I don't know. We need more rest. Like, yeah. We need more rest.
I know I do. I don't know if I think maybe it's hard for me to say definitely everyone does. I have this one friend and he swears that he only needs 4 hours a night. And he's like, well, I wake up at 4. And I'm like, stay in bed and keep sleeping, dude. You know what I mean? Like, everybody wakes up at 4 or a lot of people wake up at 4, but he swears, but I can't insist that I know what his physical needs are. So I don't know for sure, and also I'm not a scientist, so.
About 1% of the population are super sleepers.
Okay, so he can get a lot done. He sleeps fast. He sleeps double time.
So super sleepers are like under 6 hours a night, and they're good. And that's like very, 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 very rare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not me.
What's that?
That's not me.
No, it's not me either. But back to the sleeping in shifts things, like, we have it's so crazy to think about how quickly society has changed and how we just haven't adapted yet.
Well, because the body adapts, so it evolves so much more slowly than what we're doing with our mental and emotional energy. Like my gastroenterologist, when I told him I discovered that I can't eat grain, he's like, oh, well, you know, because it's not his area to do diet. And he goes, oh, well, that's interesting. It makes sense, though, because we've only been eating it for 30 years. And, you know, we don't need our appendix, and we haven't needed it for, what did he say, like 100,000 or 10,000? I don't know. We haven't needed it for like 100,000 years, and we still have it. So if we've only been eating grain for 30,000 years, then we probably aren't assimilated to it, generally speaking. And I'm like,
30 years or 30,000 years?
30,000. That we just started eating grain. This is what my gastroenterologist said. And it was funny to me because he had that in his pocket, but it doesn't, like, because it's not his lane, you know.
Yeah.
It's not a part of medicine. So
But it's true. Like, you know, with sleep, with our nervous systems.
You see my con-con?
Oh, I see. Hi there. Is that the one that gave you the stress dream?
Yes. And he's upset right now. He wants to see Brian. He's talking. Anyway.
Like, our nervous systems haven't adapted to driving in cars. Like, no wonder we all have anxiety.
Or sitting in classrooms. I have
classrooms.
Oh God, even just sitting like this, or using the bathroom this way. This isn't how you use the bathroom. Why are you making that face?
Yeah, it feels better to squat outside and pee. Just gonna say that.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And then they go dip it in the river.
Yep. That's it.
You said, can we say curse words? And I'm like, yeah, we talk about poop sometimes on this podcast. It's what life is about, all these things.
Life is about all of the things, the full range of the human experience. Yeah, I really like having a very private yard. I have absolutely peed outside this week.
That makes me so happy.
Why wouldn't I? You know, like, what
you know how
toilet paper that must be happening, you know?
You know how, my assistant, she'll go and grab quotes out of the podcast and make a graphic out of it. Look at your face. I absolutely have peed in the backyard this week.
Not today.
Look, Con wants to be on the show.
Hi there, kitty.
Look at the camera so she can see you. He's like, I know where the attention is. I'm going to go.
What a move.
Yeah, it's a power move.
You just don't give a fuck, do you? Look at you.
It's beautiful. He said it feels good. I want to be a part of it. Oh, he's a beautiful man. Isn't he gorgeous?
I like the idea of, I'm curious to see if you play around with
the sleeping shift. What's it called? Sleeping in shift. What's the sleeping in shifts thing? Is it like is it something that it's called where you sleep in shifts? I mean, I know how the Da Vinci slept that way.
A lot of pretty onto it people have. I'm not sure if it's called biphasic.
Okay.
Or if that's just.
That's a good word for me to so I can dig into.
A word associated with sleep cycles, but I'm not sure if that's like the sleeping in shifts.
Okay.
But I would just be curious to see what comes up for you. And like, that's kind of, you should try Yoga Nidra at that time.
Well, the other thing, you mean when I wake up?
Yeah.
Maybe. And Barnabas, one of my other cats, not this guy, one of my other cats wakes me up at that time habitually. So he's probably saying like, Mom, we're crepuscular, wake up.
Crepuscular.
Get up.
Exactly what he's saying. That's his vocabulary.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if you like really, I mean, I don't know. For me, I would probably need some sort of guided practice at that hour. Mm-hmm. Because otherwise I would have a really hard time.
I do. Well, I mean, I can actually hypnotize myself without using Fraser, but I can give myself suggestions to fall back asleep. But it's almost like I'm sometimes too lazy, you know? And so I prefer, or lazy, I'm tired. So it's kind of hard to have to wake myself up a little bit more to create the intentions, and you just feel like unwilling to do that, you know, since I'm tired.
Yeah, I
yeah, yeah. So the only thing with that though is well, you know, it would be an experiment because I would want to go into another room so I don't wake up Brian, because I wouldn't want to put on headphones or anything either, because that would be uncomfortable. I'm going to try it. I want to ask you, and I'll let you get back to your mugwort tea. That's what she's sipping on, y'all.
So much.
It's what?
I've had so much.
Really? Does it just make you super chill?
If I close my eyes, like I'm not a visual person, like, you know, in terms of like things revealed in the mind's eye. I really envy those that are. For me, it's just like mostly black. And then like after a really long time of practice of meditation, maybe some colors. But if I close my eyes right now, I guarantee mugwort would be creating some things.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah, you probably go like, but that would be a cool thing for you to do at 4 a.m.
You gave me some mugwort tea and I drank it up. Yeah.
You drank it up. Well, I have a full pound bag.
I've been drinking valerian tea and taking a valerian supplement at night. And that's really lovely. I love it. It feels really good. It doesn't make, it makes me sometimes, it'll make me sleep more solidly.
Yeah.
But it does, yeah, but it doesn't make me dream more or less or change the quality of my dreams.
No, valerian
I need it to do. Yeah.
Valerian will. Mugwort will. It
seems to just calm my nervous system, which is what I need. Brian's coming through. Kakan's saying hi to you. This is what we get when I podcast from home, is we get kitty cats and we get husbands.
I love it. It's a perfect combo of delight.
If it weren't for the quarantine, I wouldn't do this because I'd be like, that's unprofessional, but you know, whatever. Jimmy Kimmel's doing it from home. You know.
Exactly. Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, Stephen Colbert.
I am loving Colbert's at home show.
I watched him on Conan and they were both like recording it. They were, he was like, they were taking turns getting drops.
We are really getting some like special moments.
Some unique stuff.
History. Like the global, what was that global unity thing? Like that concert? Was that what it was?
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
With like Lady Gaga and John Legend and like all of these incredible musical artists performing at home. And just like winging it with mediocre setups and like Billie Eilish with like her like she had like super low quality sound. And it's just like, whatever, it's COVID. Like, it's so weird.
Blame it on the COVID. You remember that song? Blame it on the alcohol. That's what.
Yeah. I was like, do I?
All right. I want to ask you what your personal devotional practice looks like. Is it daily, and what is it? And if you want to share, I want to ask and see if you want to share that with folks.
So at the moment, I'm working with Lakshmi mantras. So I'm sitting daily and kind of like opening the space and kind of chanting, like, not kind of, I'm chanting invocational mantras, and then spending a solid amount of time in gratitude and in prayer and in communion, and then chanting a rather kind of longer mantra, and then off we go.
And then so that's basically how you induce.
Yeah.
You mean, and then you spend some time
in meditation
in the space. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And prayer, because sometimes people feel that prayer is religious, and it's something that I talk about frequently. Prayer is non-religious, and sometimes people have it associated with some kind of religious culture, like, oh, well, what do you say? Like it's something that's planned, you know, like speaking the Hail Mary prayer or something like that. So what is prayer like for you, and how does it fit into that set of different modalities you just described?
So it's, that's a tough question to kind of like articulately respond to. Perhaps I'll take a sip of mugwort and see what's going through.
See what she has to say about it.
So for me, prayer is, I'm very devotional. I feel very bigly in terms of my emotions, and I spend a lot of time in gratitude. Mm-hmm. Like I don't do a gratitude journal. I'm not into it. That's not for me, but I am just always speaking to myself or to my partner about profound levels of gratitude. And I'm always trying to rest in that space, and bring myself back into that space when I, kind of shift out of it temporarily. Mm-hmm. So for me, prayer is quite a lot of deep gratitude expressed. Mm. And an invitation that I kind of work within the model, so to speak, of like the Hindu gods and goddesses, these different aspects of divinity. So, and the way that I explain that to people is through with like the Judeo-Christian tradition. We have like God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit, the intangible one. Oh, God the Father is pretty intangible too, right?
Of course.
But most people worship, not all, right? Because like Pentecostals and, Seventh-day Adventists are Holy Spirit based, but primarily most people are Jesus based, because Jesus had form, Jesus had a body. And all aspects of divine consciousness can be form-based or formless. Mm-hmm. And the Hindu pantheon, so to speak, just kind of really clearly and articulately honors all of the different aspects of the divine consciousness, of the divine energy, and gives them form and gives them representation. Right. So you have a way to conceptualize that energy. Mm-hmm. And then there are also non-physical representations of that energy, which this mm-hmm. is a Lakshmi yantra, the Sri yantra. Mm-hmm. So there's, different mandalas that you can work with as well, if you're kind of more inclined towards the formless. Mm-hmm. But having different qualities, having different energies to ascribe to different elements of this divine energy is really helpful.
Because that's what we are. Because
that's it.
We are source energy, the story of source energy, and we are the definition of love. We are the definition of creation or of being. Yeah. And so that's why we go back into the portal of the all, or the nothingness, or the allness, through form again,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's, so like for me, the energy that I'm working with at the moment is the energy of radiance, the energy of grace, the energy of beauty, as it shows up in nature, as it shows up in my home, as it shows up in music, in art, and connecting to that, and asking to be in connection to that, as a reminder to myself that that's available.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how prayer works.
The prayer is an asking of that, or magnetizing it even. It's not the supplication of, please, I need help, or, the recognition of not having it. I know it's not for you. Yeah. I'm just, highlighting that, because that is sometimes some religions condition people into, it's a begging from your God, from God, to forgive or whatever, you know what I mean? Something that is recognizing the lack of, right? So it's you charging up your vibration so much so that you're magnetizing those qualities to you through the form of the pantheon of the gods and goddesses of Hinduism, and or the sacred geometry. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's similar to, the form or the model that I orient to is the archangelic, as well as ascended masters, which include the Hindu gods and goddesses. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all the same. It's like as Pete Holmes says in Comedy, Sex, God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there's that analogy of like all paths lead to the same, or
Yeah.
on this like the mountain of life or whatever, all paths lead to the top.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that analogy, but I loved Pete Holmes gave a really great analogy where like it's all, and again, this was another Ram Dass, but it's, you're drawing water, you can dig a hole anywhere and draw and like make a well, but it's all the same water.
Right, exactly.
And you know, if you draw your water from the Archangel well, and I draw my water from, you know, Shiva and Lakshmi well, it doesn't matter. You know, it's the same water. We're connecting to the same energy, just in different forms and
different perspective, different input. Yeah.
And we're connecting to them based on what we need.
Mm-hmm. Or what inspires us, what delights us.
What makes us feel most connected.
Yeah.
You know?
You would probably enjoy nature spirits because you love nature so much. And the model that is probably first defined with the words and everything by Paracelsus. And so the elemental Davic realms of the earth gnomes, the fire salamanders, the air sylphs, and the water undines. And from there, those devas are like the managers or the overseers of then the many tiers of different fae and pixie and, you know, elves and everything. And those are the ones that are, you know, tending to the blades of grass and also helping us manifest, because we actually have devas, nature devas, for absolutely everything. We have one for our house. We have one for a tree. We have one managing this energy system, because everything that we are is nature. It's composed of nature. So the nature spirits in the Davic realm are concerned and about that. And it is their job to work with that and to also, but they're vibrating in the second density, which is really proximate. It's very fast. It's very quickened because it's so proximate to the manifesting plane as it's mirrored in the fifth density. And so it's when you work with either the Fey realm or the Davic realm, things manifest very quickly because they have a great interest in having manifestation happen from those who are regarding the ecosystem and regarding the earth and regarding Gaia.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, you would really enjoy that.
I think I might. I mean, I tend to find almost shockingly lightning quick expressions of like, when I start working with an energy, with a mantra, with a deity, oh my God, it's like the same day. It's absurd. It's very quick. So I wonder, and you know, this is more your department than mine because I'm such an earthy lady. I wonder if that's like in similar realms. Do you know what I mean? Like if whatever I'm working with is operating in a similar
Absolutely. Way. For sure. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't you tell me that I had like an air deva on my shoulder one time?
Probably. I don't remember.
It was before I was recording and you were like, you have an air deva. And I was like, what? What's that?
Probably. Yeah. If I saw it, then I was, you know, in state to some degree. So I may not remember it as well as you would. I'm actually about to do a series inside of the podcast, a little mini series, just talking about the Davic realms, because people ask me all the time. I have a course on my website for it, but I'm just going to do some short episodes that people can, you know, make it available so they can easily access it.
That's really cool. I mean, part of the reason why I tend towards like the yogic Hindu model of things is because the mantras are such a powerful tool to steady my mind and take me beyond the thinking mind so quickly. Are there any kinds of like tools that you work with to connect people to those different aspects?
Well, I mean, I do a ton of meditations and hypno journeys. And so it's that to induce them into it and to discover their relationship. And then I do, when I teach, even if it's a lecture, that's actually done in state as well. So it induces state. And then the they're activated. Teaching is also an activation, and actually sending energy attuning into the student or the sitter. Yeah.
I wonder if there are any mantras I could chant for the devas.
I think you would probably have to write them. And because the word deva is actually a Hindu word, means enlightened one or the bright one or something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think the shining one.
Well, this has been, we're going to forget that we're actually doing a podcast. I'll keep you all day. Josh is like, what's happening? No, this has been so wonderful. Is there anything you would like to share with the audience as we wrap up this amazing interview?
I think this is dropping tomorrow.
Yes, although I have no idea how long we've been doing this. It may be a two-parter, so we'll see.
I think about a little over an hour.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think the only thing, since it is dropping in a timely way, is that I am offering pretty regular Yoga Nidra classes over Zoom by donation, open to all levels of experience. And if you fall asleep, it's fine. And I would welcome anyone into those classes. And it's just such a powerful tool for navigating through this time and deepening your practice.
Great. Well, we'll drop a link. I'll get a link to how people can connect with that. And of course, you've been announcing them on Instagram too. So your Instagram is a good way to stay on top of that, which is Meditation Chick.
Meditation Chick. That's the primary way, because I haven't updated my website in a while.
Okay. So then we'll make sure to put a link to your Instagram in there. Well, this has been so fun. Thank you, Hilary. Everyone, Hilary Jackendoff of the Jackendoffians. No, that doesn't make any sense.
Hilary is very Jackendoffian.
But this has been so wonderful. Wow. It was actually less jokey than I thought it would be, you guys, because normally it's just goofing around when we talk to one another. So yeah, I really appreciated it. We got into it, and it was so much fun. I really enjoyed just taking a swim in all of your wisdom and your beautiful energy. It was really gorgeous. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
That's our episode today, and you can find Hilary's information in the description. Whether you're listening or watching on YouTube, you'll be able to find out how you can join those free Zoom classes where she's leading meditation. And I believe actually it's by donation, or if you choose to, it's a suggested donation. I'm not sure about that, but if you are inclined to offer a donation by joining one of her classes, I would highly encourage it because she is powerful. So again, you can find it by following her on Instagram at Meditation Chick, or go to her website, which is linked below too. And if you join her newsletter, that's the best way to catch all that she is doing. And for that matter, join my newsletter as well. Just go to my website and you'll have a pop-up of how to join. And that was just a wonderful episode for me. I hope it blessed you. And thank you for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.